Try that one more time, scientists. Good morning. We're so excited to get to be here with you today. Welcome back for another exciting episode of our Aquarium Online Academy here at the beautiful Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California. My name is Soraya. I'm part of our teaching team here at the Aquarium. I'm also joined in studio today by my compatriot Lynette, who is here helping control all of the amazing media that you see going on behind us. So together, we're going to get a chance to explore one of my favorite subject matters, which is kind of a cool one because they're related to us. Well, I guess in some way, all the creatures on the planet are related to us because we've all got some things in common. We share this incredible planet together, for one thing. So today, we're going to get a chance to explore our ocean backyard. But before that, we want to invite you to join us and to share those questions and comments, things you're curious about. Oh, very exciting. We got a diver coming on the scene. I guess they want to explore with us too. So if you're interested in sharing any of those questions or comments with us, you absolutely can. You can text us live questions to 562-286-1838, or you can email us questions to live@lbaop.org. You can see a couple of our amazing divers are hard at work, taking care of our incredible exhibits. Did you know that most of our divers are volunteers? Ever thought about working at the aquarium? There's certainly a pathway for you. We'll say farewell to those divers for now so that we can get into exploring our ocean backyard today. So, I shared with you we're going to talk about this ocean backyard, and that might sound kind of funny. You're like, what do you mean? The ocean isn't my backyard. Well, the truth is, if you live in California, we've got an ocean backyard that stretches the entirety of our state, which is kind of amazing. And something really special about our ocean backyard is it's home to the kelp forest. Now, kelp is this amazing structure that you're seeing all behind me here, and I'll step off so you can take a good look. Now, kelp is this incredible, these are an example of kelp, and these are one example that builds these big columns. Now, these columns, when grown in concentration like this, form what's called the kelp forest, a hidden underwater forest that is in our ocean backyard that you can't see when you just look out at the ocean. You'd have to dive in like our divers or like these amazing creatures living here. So, we're going to take a dive into this amazing habitat. Now, remember, a habitat is a home for creatures, right? A place where they can thrive, hunt, survive, and make more of those creatures. So today, let's explore this amazing ocean backyard of ours that's all along our coast. Now, one of the coolest things about kelp that I love is that it only grows in 7 places on the planet. So we're pretty lucky to get to have one of those places. And part of the reason why the kelp grows so plentifully here is because we have very chilly, chilly, chilly water. Anyone ever been to the beach here in California? I have. Every time I get in, I think I get maybe 2 toes in and I'm already shivering. Our water is really chilly, but it also is super nutrient dense. And that nutrient density is kind of what makes it look a little bit foggy. Sometimes we think a little bit murky. This is a great example of our video out in the actual kelp forest. So what we were just seeing is an exhibit here at the aquarium, modeled after our actual kelp forest like this. So take a look. Let's make a couple observations. And I'd like you to make some guesses about some of the creatures that might be calling this place home. So we'll probably start with some of the larger ones, but we got to talk about today's focus. Now, there are tons of creatures that live in the kelp forest, from invertebrates to vertebrates, which are animals with no bones, to animals with bones, from tiny little creatures up to some of the largest, actually the largest creature on the planet, all inhabit and move through this amazing space. So today we're going to be focusing on marine mammals. And some of the marine mammals that cruise this space are enormous. That includes some of our whales and dolphins. We'll explore those in just a second. But before we get into even exploring marine mammals, we have to know what that even means. So marine and mammals puts two parts together. Marine, any ideas what that has to do with? The ocean, exactly. So, ocean and mammals. I've heard of the word mammal. I know I'm a mammal, but what makes a mammal? Think you could help me out? Let's see if we can come up with these ideas together. So, come join me on my document cam and we'll check out how to define what makes a mammal. Let's see. scientists, there are 5 main things that make a mammal. Now, one of those things has to do with what's going on top of your head. And our amazing sea otters are a perfect example of this incredible trait of our favorite mammals. All mammals have this fuzz all over their bodies, and we even have some fuzz on our bodies too. One of the traits of mammals is having hair or fur. So we'll keep a lookout for those as we explore some of the marine mammals in just a second. So one trait is having hair or fur. Can you think of an animal that has hair or fur? Can you think of a land animal that has hair or fur? Dog, tiger, weasel? So many different creatures on land. Can you think of any marine animals that have fur? Here's a perfect example right here. One of our amazing southern sea otters. Now, speaking of fur, they have some of the thickest fur on the entire planet. They have the thickest, actually. They get to wear that crown. Their fur is so thick that only the very tips of their nose and the very tips of their little paw pads, those little toe beans that we see on like cats, only those are the pieces of skin that actually touch the water. The rest of their body is covered in kind of like a wetsuit of this incredible fur. So fur is a certainly important part. Now, something else that makes a mammal a mammal. Every year, excuse me, once there is a special day and they sing a special song to you. Happy Hatch Day to you. Happy Hatch Day to you. It's not quite how it goes, is it? Happy birthday, right? Because you didn't pop out of an egg like a little baby sea turtle, did you? You came out just as a tiny little version of your wonderful self. So let's add that to the list. Something else that all mammals do is live birth. That means you just come as a tiny little version of you. Something else that has to do with your first starting life as a tiny little baby and your family has to take care of you. What's the first thing that you're eating? Are you eating pizza and chicken nuggets, tacos right away? Definitely not. Our bodies aren't ready to handle that stuff yet, although it's delicious. We first begin our lives eating milk. You're right. So definitely we got to add that to the list too. We're missing a couple more, and I wonder what they could be. I wonder if anyone could help me out with one of these. Now, we were talking about their fur helping to keep them warm, but there's something I noticed that when I get really hot, I start to sweat. Does that happen with you too? Or when I get chilly, I start to shiver. That's because one amazing trait of mammals is that we try to thermoregulate. And we can do that with our ability because we have a special adaptation of having warm blood. So go ahead and feel your neck. I feel like neck is always a good place to feel our warmness, or right on your chest. Yeah. Do you feel your body's nice and warm? That's because your body's constantly working hard to keep your temperature stabilized. So warm blood helps us do that. Let's add on our warm blood. Looks like we've got 4 great ideas here. We've got hair or fur, live birth, they eat or drink milk, they have warm blood, and there's something else, but I can't think of what it is. Maybe if we dove down into the water, we might figure it out pretty quickly. Aha! I think I remember what it is now. Now, otters are masters of holding their breath for a really long time. But have you ever taken a dive in a pool or maybe even in your bathtub and you went under the water and you tried to hold your breath? Probably couldn't hold it very long, could you? That's because we humans breathe air. Put your hands on your chest, take a big deep breath. Air is so important to us mammals. We have to breathe it out in the open like this. Some animals, like fish, are able to pull oxygen out of the water, but we don't have that same adaptation. Our adaptation is the lungs in our body that we fill up and collapse to help us breathe. So let's add breathe air onto this, and let's see if we can explore some examples of these marine mammals in our ocean backyard. Let's see what Lynette has for us. What creatures could we find off our coast here? Aha! We certainly could run into these creatures here. What are these? They kind of look like dogs. Lots of whiskers. I see the fur. Were you thinking sea lion? Yeah, you're right. This is an example of some of our California sea lions. We'll come back to these guys in just a few. But let's see if we can see any other large mammals living off our coast. I wonder if there's any mammals bigger than us living in the ocean. Let's see if we can find out. Oh, I see something. Let me step out of the way so we can take a good look. What is this? A whale! Did you notice the size of it? But did you also notice it took a breath? On top of the whale's head, you'll see it come up just over here. Now, those two little spots where the whale has their blowhole on the top of their head function like our nostrils. That's where they're able to breathe. Now, because they're swimming in the ocean like this, they come up to the surface to take a breath. But do you notice? He kind of only put a little bit of his body out of the water when he took that breath. When we come up for air, when we're breathing, or when we're in the pool, we have to bring our whole head out of the water in order to breathe. But whales can just bring the top of their head because their nose, their nostrils, are on the top. And that's where they're taking a big, deep breath. An excellent example of a marine mammal. Let's see if we can find any other marine mammals off our coast. Let's see what we find next. What are these amazing creatures? You're right. These are some of our local dolphins here. Now, dolphins are certainly members of the whale family. They're members of the toothed whale family. So some whales have teeth and some whales have baleen. Baleen looks a little bit different. It kind of looks like a broom, like a bunch of bristles all together. Now, I'll step on this side so we can get a good look at this creature's head. Can you eye spy their blowhole where they take their deep breath? Yeah, it's just over here. You got it. Now, dolphins are moving through the water similarly to whales by swimming and using those flippers and fins. Now, something cool about this side over here. Something cool about their tails is that if ever you're not sure if the animal is a mammal or a fish, like a shark, there's one easy way to tell. It has to do with their tail and how they swim. So if their tail is made of two parts like this, and it goes up and down like this, you can do this with me. If their tail goes up and down, it's a mammal. If their tail has two parts like this and goes side to side, it's a fish or a shark. So if you're not sure what kind of creature you're seeing, maybe you're on a whale watch boat, maybe you're out sailing with your family, I would keep a lookout for those amazing tails. Are you noticing this action behind the creature, or are you noticing this action behind the creature? An interesting way that you can help become a creature spotter when you're out there in their natural environment. Excellent. I wonder if there's any more examples. Let's see a couple more examples, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into some of the marine mammals we have here at the aquarium. Like this amazing creature here. This is one of our amazing seals, and this is called a harbor seal. Now, can you see the nostrils on this creature? Of course you can. These ones have kind of large, almost heart-shaped nostrils, and they're pretty big. That's so that they can take big, deep breaths before they dive down into the water to go hunt. Are you seeing any fur on this creature? Definitely seeing the fur. And these animals are certainly eating milk when they first begin their lives as well. An excellent example of another coastal marine mammal. Let's see if we can see one more example. Ooh, wonder what we have here. What's this creature? These are some of our southern sea otters. Now, we get so many questions about sea otters that we're going to dive into some of those pretty quickly here, because this is a creature that we get asked about all the time here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. Now, this is one of our ambassador animals, an important creature for us that helps us tell the story of our ocean backyard, as well as helps us talk about conservation. Have you ever heard of the word conservation? To conserve something Like if I asked you to conserve your energy because we got a long walk back, what am I asking you to do? Yeah, you're right. Save some of it, right? So when we conserve something, we're trying to save or preserve something so that it will last. Well, here at the aquarium, we do some conservation work with our marine mammals. And part of that work is because of the Marine Mammal Protection Act. Now, once upon a time, it used to be legal to hunt these amazing animals, and humans hunted them because of that incredible fur we were talking about. Now, you might be asking, and we had a question earlier, someone was asking, well, how thick is sea otter fur? That's a great question. So if you take your hands like this and you make about a circle size, the size of about a quarter, that's about an inch right there. In that amount of space, just this little circle here, there are about 1 million sea otter hairs. That's pretty incredible because that's not the case for human hairs. Our hairs would be much more fine if that were the case. Now, in that tiny amount of space, you can imagine on a whole sea otter, that is so much fur. Well, the sad thing was, people started hunting sea otters for these coats, and they hunted them almost to extinction. So it took a few people, actually, I would say probably a lot of people, who cared a lot that decided to try and do something about this. That's how we make change in our world. We get friends together that don't agree with something, and then we try and change it or improve it, right? In this case, we're trying to save the environment and the amazing sea otters from extinction. So they put in some rules called the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which means it's illegal for you to come in contact with or to hunt any of these amazing marine mammals. That includes our whales, our dolphins, our otters, our sea lions, our seals, any of the marine mammals that are part of that family, which is incredible because that does a lot for our oceans. Some of these creatures are some of the stabilizers in the habitats, and it's important that we have them. So let's get into our sea otters a little bit more because now that we've had a chance to define some mammals, let's look at some of the work we do here at the aquarium with some of our sea otters. Now, I had a question earlier from from Jeanette, who was asking us about can we have a sea otter for a pet because they're so adorable. Now, I agree they're adorable, but let's learn why maybe sea otters don't make good pets. Now, one of those examples is I want us to take a look at their bodies a little bit closer. Because the thing about sea otters is, although they are cute, they eat a lot. They eat so much food every day, and this is a perfect example of one of those otters eating. What do you think this otter's eating here? See lots of little legs. Looks like a crab, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's see if we can check out maybe a video of one of our otters eating so we can make some observations and talk a little bit more about how much a sea otter eats every single day. Now, sea otters can be pretty big in size. Oftentimes we think they're just a tiny, cute little ball, and they certainly start life that way. They're so fuzzy and tiny when they first begin that even if you put them underwater, they just pop back up. And that is an adaptation that's meant to keep them safe. Now, check out this great video here of one of our sea otters eating. Now, you're also noticing how is it eating? I saw it just do kind of a barrel roll there. And this is a testament to sea otters' incredible swimming abilities. Now, otters are the masters of floating on their backs. Have you ever tried doing that? It can be kind of tricky when you're first learning, where you kind of have to relax your body enough to make yourself kind of like a boat. Sea otters are excellent at this. And oftentimes we'll see them rafting, which is this action here. It's when they're laying on their backs, using their belly as kind of like a table, and they use those little paws to kind of work on the food that they're eating. Now, sea otters, we were saying, could hold their breath for long amounts of time. But one thing that's really cool about them is that they really can only hold their breath for about 5 minutes. But what's more important than that is they can dive down in the kelp forest up to like 300 feet in 5 minutes. That's wild. So these amazing otters, just like every creature, is full of incredible adaptations that help them do that. One of the things that helps them swim so well is their fur. Remember, we talked about them being mammals. That fur works like a wetsuit. So even though they're diving way down into the super chilly water, that wetsuit is keeping them nice and dry. It's also got built in pockets in their armpits where they can stash all their goods as they swim back up to the surface. Kind of incredible, right? They've also got some incredibly big paddle like feet on the back. And I can show you on my sea otter model here these big old feet. Excellent. These feet help them push down as they're diving. And then when they come back to the surface, they use these tiny but mighty ferocious teeth to chomp through all those goods that they found. Otters have pretty formidable teeth. Even though their mouths look kind of tiny, they've got some pretty strong jaws. And I think we might have an example of an otter jaw. Should we check it out? Come on over. Let's take a look. All right, scientific friends, I do have an otter skull. Let me move this aside and we can take a look. Now, otters' skulls are pretty big. And I'm going to show you the front view first, okay? Check out how long these comb-like teeth are right here in the front. These are really good at cracking into and ripping things open. Look at the size of these canines. That's so long compared to my finger. And the bottom as well. These long comb-like teeth are really good for chomping and ripping through. But let's look at the inside. Now, something I noticed right away is how wide these back teeth are. I always think they look kind of like gum. They're really wide and kind of flat and bumpy, and that's because these sea otters are chomping through all kinds of food. What do you think they might be eating? We had a question from Leo asking, what does a sea otter eat? That's a great question. Sea otters have a huge diet where they're eating animals like clams, sea stars, shrimps, fish, squid, urchins, crabs, all kinds of critters. Now, because they have such a voracious diet, which means a huge hunger, they've got to eat a lot of different kinds of food. And they can eat up to 15 to 30% of their body weight every single day. So that means if an otter weighs like 60 pounds, they have to eat about 15 pounds of food every day. That's a lot of food. Can you imagine eating 15 pounds of food? That's pretty incredible. So otters are one of the amazing animals that we have here at the aquarium that are part of our ocean backyard and our conservation story. Part of the work we do here is we have surrogate otter mamas that are helping to take care of baby otters that have been abandoned in their natural environment. We bring them in and we partner them with some of our mama otters, and those mama otters teach the baby otters how to be an otter. And you might be wondering, well, how do they teach them how to be an otter? They're really good at it. They teach them how to swim. They teach them how to eat. They teach them how to clean their little fur. And they teach them how to tow themselves out of the water, how to dive down deep. There's a lot of skills it takes when it comes to being a mammal. And the truth is, you can even think about how you were born, how you grew up. Now, the thing is, all of us mammals need elders to take care of us in order for us to survive. We're not like frogs or fish or like an octopus where once we've been laid, our parents say farewell, we'll see you never. When it comes to mammals, our families have a huge role to play in our success. We take care of each other. They help teach us all the skills that we need in order to be a successful human mammal. But in this case, they learn the skills of how to be a successful otter mammal. So let's take a look at the two other big marine mammals that we have here at the aquarium, and let's compare those two a little bit because we want to get a chance to feature some of our special creatures that call this place home too. And I'll step right here in the middle so that we can see a perfect example of these two amazing creatures. Now, these animals are the same or different? They are different. Well, how are they different? What are you noticing? What are some things that are the same and what are some things that are different? For example, I'm noticing both have some big eyes here and whiskers. I'm also noticing some nostrils. Now, when I look at these nostrils over here, it looks almost like they're closed. These amazing creatures both have the ability to plug their nose when they dive into the water. Have you ever held your nose when you jumped into the pool? I have. They can do that naturally by just squeezing their nostrils closed. That's something they have in common. I also see some fur on this creature and on this creature over here. So these are two of our local marine mammals. This on this side over here is our California sea lion. And on this side over here is one of our amazing harbor seals. Now, if we zoom out just a little bit, we'll get to take a closer look at each of their bodies. But before we do that, I want to point out something that's different on their heads. Now, one thing that is very different is on the top of my seal's head, it's nice and round. But on the top of my sea lion head, I see he's got a little bit of a bump. In sea lions, the dominant male will grow this nice big bump on their head, and that bump shows that they are in charge. They are the go-to sea lion in the pack. Now, I'm also noticing on the sides of their heads, something's different. This one has this little noodle part here, but this one has kind of just what looks like a hole. And what you're noticing there are their ears. Now, sea lions have external ear flaps like this, and that's one thing that can help you tell them apart. The other thing is their size. Sea lions are massive, and seals are a little bit different shape as well. Let's take a zoom out real quick of these amazing creatures so we can take a quick look at those different body types. We definitely have our seals looking much more like a potato, nice and rounded, and they lay flat on their bellies when they move around. Here's a perfect example right here. Something else I always notice on these creatures, look at their nails. Aren't those incredible? Why do you think they have nails like that? We have nails. What are they for? They certainly help them with towing out onto the land. They can help them with climbing. Pretty incredible, right? Now, by contrast, let's see if we can look at that sea lion with a different kind of a posture. Now, sea lions sit up more straight. Kind of like if you took your two arms and put them together like this, and you put your hands on the floor and you kind of leaned your chest up. That's what our sea lions look like. And I'll step to the side so we can take a good look. They get this posture because it's kind of lion-y, I would say. Now, these amazing creatures here, here's a great view right here. Beautiful. These amazing creatures here, you can see that little ear flap on the side, are much, much larger. They also have these flippers here that they stand up on. And they prop their body up like that. Now, something different about sea lions versus seals is their hips. Now, sea lions have the ability to curve their hips underneath, back, and side to side. That makes them a lot more agile in the water when they're swimming. It helps them change directions much more quickly and is the reason why they're a lot faster in the water than those seals we were just talking about. So, we have had an amazing time getting to check on the differences between these animals, but we did have one last question coming in from Lorenzo. So, Lorenzo was asking us, well, if there's difference in size of their body, how fast can each one of them go in the water? A great question. Sea lions can go about 25 to 30 miles per hour in the water. That's kind of like the speed of a boat. And our seals, by contrast, are only going about 50 to 20 miles per hour. 15, sorry, not 50, 15 to 20 miles per hour. That's quite a bit slower. Now, that doesn't mean they're not very agile. And when we see these amazing creatures swimming, and you can visit them here at the aquarium, we'll see if we can spy any of them cruising by. That's one of our sea lions. Cruise in the water. This is our exhibit here at the aquarium, a great place for us to end, where you can visit our amazing seals and sea lions in their exhibit here. Now, these are some important ambassadors for us because, again, they're marine mammals, and marine mammals have an important role to play in our backyard ecosystem because they're some of those top predators. So, for now, my scientific friends, this is where we will wrap up for today, but we always want to take the opportunity to extend to you. If you didn't get a chance to ask your question during our showtime, or you're watching it at a later time, not to worry. You can always email or text us your questions, and we'll put that number up just one more time at the very end here. You're always welcome to reach out to us, share your curiosities, and who knows, maybe next time we're on camera, we'll answer it for you. We always try and reach out with those answers, and we want to thank you for participating with us today. So from all of us here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, we want to thank you for joining us, and our seals too. They came real close to say farewell to us. We want to say farewell to all of you amazing explorers. We hope to see you again next time on our next Aquarium Online Academy. For now, keep exploring, scientists.